I am by myself, but that's okay. This whole episode was a lot. It was like everything we've been waiting for, but I'm also like super sad about it because part of it like broke my heart, and I also wanted to punch the TV, but we'll get into that. So this is episode 12 of the challenge, Double Agents. Okay, and there's chocolate on my shirt. I'm looking a mess. I don't have Scotty here because life happens and this mom of three is exhausted, but we need to talk about what just happened because it was a lot. Yeah, girl, what just happened? That's my 3-year-old. This episode was a lot. So we left off and we were at the crater. Big T and CT had won the challenge. So they, were going to get to choose who was going to go against the compromised agents, which were voted in, which was Devin and Gabby. Shocker. Not a shocker at all. So Josh is relieved, and CT's kind of upset going into it a little bit because he does like Devin and he's aligned with Devin, so he doesn't really want to go in against him, but he's gonna go get his skull. So regardless, I mean, if it has to be that, it has to be that. Poor Devin. Hard to say poor Devin, but poor Devin at the end of the day, because Devin technically had to go against Wes, and then at this point we're like, now he's gonna go against CT. Like, he can't catch a break. He got to go to school, but it's not looking too good for Devin. So then TJ says that there's another security breach. What does that mean? We don't know. That's the cliffhanger we were left on. We come back to this episode and they typical recap it. We get back and it's a security breach. Tonight is a double elimination, which was definitely one of my guesses. So I wasn't like too shocked, but the house was obviously, at least the way they ended it was like, oh my God. And so, everyone's flustered, like, what? And then TJ also says like CT and Big T have all the power. So now that Devin and Gabby are voted in, he says, so who was the next team to get the least amount or the most amount of votes or whatever? Who was second to last? Basically, Gabby and Devin were first, and then it was like, who would be going down if it wasn't them? That's the next set going down. So Josh and Nany, get your butts down here. And of course, they're pissed because they're very emotional, both of them in their own ways, and so they're like, I'm caught off guard, I don't want to do this. They thought they were safe, now they could go home. Then CT also says, or not CT, sorry, TJ says it's a male double elimination, meaning both of the eliminations are male. And so obviously CT and Big T have all the power, and so CT goes, hey Devin, who you want? And they're like, okay. And Devin, for, I don't know, good TV reasons, I guess, he says, or decides, I want Darrell, because Darrell's the reason I'm down here, because he didn't vote in my favor, so it ended up being me down here instead of Josh. And Darrell's like, thanks, dude. Ain't nobody scared of you. You're kind of a layup. Darrell is a force to be reckoned with. He is a veteran, OG, whatever you want to call him. So he's been itching to get a chance to get his gold skull, and now Devin basically is like, here's your chance. So in Devin's mind, he's like, this is revenge. Hopefully I can do it. Maybe not. When they got down there, they realized that it was going to be the same elimination that Cam beat Ashley in, which was the one where they have to jump. It was originally jumping from the podium to the different rings, and then TJ changed it this time around, and it was jumping to push down different puzzle pieces, and there were 7 puzzle pieces, and then they had to get down to the bottom and put the puzzle pieces together, and then whoever finished that the fastest won the elimination. So luckily for, you know, Devin, it wasn't a headbanger, and it did include a puzzle, which is more like his realm of things. But yeah, Darrell is nothing to laugh at. He's nothing to just take lightly. But that was your choice. So obviously Big T went with CT, said like, yeah, sure, he wants Darrell. So Darrell and Amber go down there. And so then basically it was like, you can go down there and get your skull, or you can put somebody else down there, and CT wanted to get his skull. And so this is the best of both worlds for him. Like, it's a double elimination, it's a male elimination, and then I get to choose. I either wanted the 2 layups, I wanted Devin or Josh. I wanted Josh. Now I get to choose who Devin gets, and then I get to go against Josh. So that's what happened. Devin and Darrell go first, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, word on the street before the season started that I didn't mean to see, because I don't like spoilers necessarily for this, but close your ears if you don't want to hear what I potentially think is a true spoiler based on some events, which I'm about to say, is that Amber and Darrell won this season, which would be Amber's rookie season, and Darrell, I don't even know how many seasons at this point, but it's been a while since he won. So I was like, that's interesting, and then I tried not to look into it because I didn't want to know. But now that Amber got her skull, and then Darrell's down here, and he ultimately does beat Devin. They both struggled on the puzzle. Darrell did get down there first. It wasn't a full like knockout, but he definitely beat Devin. Devin did like a puzzle's supposed to be his thing, and he just couldn't do it. But so yeah, so Darrell ultimately getting his gold skull too, and just their placement in the house with things. I think that, I mean, I'm not mad. I like both of them, and I'm glad if they do / did win. But I'm like, oh my god, this is like confirming what I've seen. Like, now I'm like, damn it, the spoiler was right, which is not bad, but I just didn't want to spoil it for myself. But now I guess it's more of a like, let's see how this plays out. Maybe it isn't. I would bet my bottom dollar it is, now that Darrell has his gold skull too. But also because Darrell, I'll just say this because I'm already talking about it, but Darrell ultimately has the choice to leave Amber or to stay. You know the drill, and he chose to stay. So it's also like, okay, they're gonna ride it to the end. They both have their skulls. Supposedly they won. Yeah, I think that's probably how this is gonna go, but how does it go down? Who knows? So that's still fun to watch whether you know or not. Spoiler over if it is a spoiler, because I don't technically know. But yeah, no. You put 2 and 2 together. But we'll see. So CT and Big T had talked about like, I want to get my gold skull, and then she was like, and he's like, so who should I pick when I get my gold skull? And she's like, you better stay with me. And he was like, I will. And she was like, okay, promise. And he said that he promised. And they've been getting along great, but we had heard inklings of CT being like, I just like, I love her, but like, I kind of want to be like a savage and just be with someone that I feel like can run a final better when it comes down to it. So we had already been given those like context clues or like inklings that like he might leave her. Plus we saw her getting mad at him and like a teaser for later. So I'm like, I really just see Big T doesn't get mad like that from what we've seen of her unless like you really do something messed up. And so I kind of assumed it had to be something like that. That was my first guess. And I'm like, well, I didn't think it'd be that obvious, but surprise, ultimately CT gets the option, and Big T's like looking at him, not worried about it at first, and then he just goes balls to the wall, over the top. Okay, well, screw it, like I'm gonna do this. And he's just loud and obnoxious and making like a mockery of the whole thing, and just being like, sorry Kyle, like Cam, get down here. And he's just like super over the top dramatic, so excited to have her, you know, just like threw Big T under the bus and just basically acted like a completely different person. And she said it best, which is like, to be honest, like this is old school CT to me. So it's like that person was always there, but I guess she hadn't seen him. He'd been playing a I'm a dad thing for a while. So it was supposedly, you know, he's, you know, was a married dad, and he's like a better, more mature person now, but it's like the real CT or the old CT take it however you will, came back out and was just a total prick. And she was like, I don't even know that person. And you could see it on her face. She was shocked. Everybody was like, whoa, okay. Like, it was just like, yeah, you can take another partner. Yeah, you can get rid of her. But, like, it was the way he did it. He made a whole spectacle of it. And it just didn't need to be like that. It just felt like rubbing salt on a wound or dirt on a wound, whatever they say. It just seemed like it was overkill. And it just was really in poor taste and disrespectful. And I was just like, that's not cute. And karma is a you-know-what. And that's going to come back around. And you being that cocky and rude is probably going to bite you in the ASS, if you know what I mean. So, but who knows? We'll see that. So then obviously, well, not obviously, but it's like there is Big T and Gabby left Rogue, and there's still Nam and Corey left Rogue. So basically TJ's like, okay, Corey, you lost your partner first, so you get to pick which girl you want. And he went with Gabby. He's like, I saw her do that puzzle. I'm bad at puzzles. That, you know, I need someone that's gonna compliment what I'm not good at and whatever, so I'm gonna go with Gabby. And you could tell both girls were like, in this season, being Corey's partner is like the kiss of death. Like, everybody goes home. He's like a Black Widow in this game. And you're just like, it's like a death sentence. So, you know, they weren't like too excited about it. Either one of them, I think. Like, I don't really think Big T was too offended by not being picked, and Gabby wasn't so sure she wanted to be picked, but it is what it is. So then Nam and Big T are ultimately put together, which I don't think is a bad pairing, but you know, and I think Nam was cool with it, Big T was cool with it, but she was still just like so emotional. I feel like she just didn't even register what was happening. She's just like, I'm gonna vote. She literally said to Gabby, she's like, I'm gonna vote him in every chance I get, talking about CT. And I'm like, that's a Capricorn for you. Should have thought about that. The grudges that we can hold are unlike no other. It is unparalleled. And doing us dirty is probably gonna be your biggest downfall. CT is an idiot for that. Like, Big T was like the only person that was really in the house that was like there for him. And like the fact that he had to do her like that, it was a big mistake, because it's clear by the way that they're editing the show and showing Big T and stuff that they are pushing her. I love her, but they're pushing her to the audience because I think they want her to be their new like face a little bit. It probably, fortunately and unfortunately, like I feel like they're pushing a person of color because of the environment that we're in. I just don't know that it's necessarily genuine. I still think it's great because having a darker skinned person of color being put as like the sweetheart of the show and like kind of like the center stage is not something they've really ever done, or many shows do, and it's something that needs to be done. Should have been always done, could have been done years ago, but I think it's the climate of the world right now that might be making them go in that direction. I would want to say that I hope it's more genuine, but I don't know. She is very likable regardless of female, male, skin tone, whatever. Her personality is extremely likable, and clearly production likes her. So I don't know, but I'm just, in my mind, I'm like, CT, you get asked back. Big T is gonna be asked back. Like, mark my words, if she wants to come back, she'll be back. And now this is, yeah, a new rivalry, which in some ways is great for TV, but it's also, was very good at putting a girls' alliance together with newbies and mixing with other people, and she's very well liked in the house with a lot of people. That you're just shooting yourself in the foot for the future, even if you do win this season. Like, it's kind of like what Fessy did with Nelson. Like, you're just asking for problems, because Nelson will be asked back, Corey will be asked back. Like, these people will be here again, and if you get lucky to be here again or whatever, like, it's gonna be a problem. So we'll see. I mean, even Big T said it herself. She was like, I'm like the ultimate grudge holder. Yes, queen, I hear you. Same here. So unexpectedly, they had sort of a filler part of this episode where it's like, oh, they have the day off, they're going to like these hot springs sauna thing for the day, and like everyone was supposed to be relaxing, whatever, but then like also like Big T was just sort of like, she feels like her spirit is broken, is how she described it, like that she just feels like she has no confidence now, and she's like at her lowest point, and that like she just feels really stupid because she knew not to trust people in this game, and she doesn't, but that she actually did grow to genuinely trust CT, and to be backstabbed and just made to look stupid like that has really just kind of killed her, at least in these moments. Like she said, broke her spirit, and she's not even sure she wants to be there anymore. Like it's a whole mess, and she's just like totally feels betrayed. And this is where I was like, the whole thing that he did, like I mean, I had to hold back tears. And I also was like, I just want to kick his butt, because she's being like, she was such a good sport down there in the moment where she didn't, like, I would have turned him and been like, are you effing kidding me right now? Do you see yourself? Like, I wouldn't have even been able to contain myself. I would have been like, you washed up, wanna be, like, it would have been on and popping, and she didn't. And whenever someone just allows someone to make a mockery of them like that without standing up for themselves, even though I feel like sometimes that's good, like let them, when they go low, we go high, like I feel that for sure, like always be the bigger person. I do think at the end of the day it makes them look better. It just makes me want to go in there and like stand up for them and save the day. Like, I don't care if nobody likes me, like that's not okay, and it should be talked about right now. In this moment, we are shutting it down. I'm not watching this go down. It's not happening, at least without me putting my 2 cents in and letting you know that what you're doing is effed up, and I want to make you feel effed up for making her feel effed up, because the girl did nothing to deserve that. Anyways, so after the hot springs, they're back. I don't know, you know, the way they edited like the timeline, because also like what he was wearing kind of looked like what he wore when they came back from elimination. So I don't really know the timing, but he set, well, what they were at the hot springs, his idea of like kind of like trying to make amends with Big T was sending her a glass of champagne. Like Nisa said it best, like he thinks that sending her free alcohol is going to make everything okay. Like, thanks for the free booze, but like, no, like we still have issues. And so obviously then, you know, we back to the bonfire thing. He set up a bonfire with blankets and was like, I want to have a talk with her. So she came out to have a talk with him, and he starts it off by just like, I don't know what he thought he was going to do. I think she said it best at the end. She said he was trying to manipulate me and sound like he's still a good person, and that like what he did wasn't wrong, and that he's still there for me, and like that's not the case. And then it turned into a screaming match, and he was just sort of like, he was calling her by her full name, like trying to like be like, no, I know you, I'm still your friend, I still want to be your friend. But then he really was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, you're not ready for a final. And she was like, okay, like, just because I've been open and honest with you and telling you that I'm like nervous about something because I've never done it before and you should be scared of it, like, doesn't mean I'm not still gonna like this last challenge, surprise the hell out of everybody, even beat your butt, and like turn it on beast mode and just do it. Like, you don't know that. I've never even been there. So for you to just like decide that is kind of like messed up. And she was just sort of felt like she was played the whole time, which now looking back, I feel like she was too. Like, he used her until he couldn't use her anymore, and then he tossed her to the side, but he didn't want her to be mad about it, and he didn't feel like he should feel bad about it, and that like we're still friends, it's all good. And she was like, no. And they even kind of tried to talk about it. She even cried, and he was like, no, like no one can break your spirit, I broke your heart. She's like, you didn't break my heart, you broke my spirit right now. And he's like, no, I can't do that. And then like they just started arguing, and he was like, I didn't lie to you, I broke a promise. Okay, fool, like that is the same thing. You promised and you lied, because that wasn't a promise that you wanted to keep, clearly, because you did not keep it. So that was lying. Like, here's the thing is, you're not going to talk to a Capricorn woman and try to make facts not facts. We are realists. and logical, even though all women can be emotional, when it comes down to it, you know, the sky is blue. Like, we're not going to sit here and have this argument. And she was not about to put up with that, and she was not going to do it. And he wasn't going to use his charm or whatever he thinks he can do to manipulate her and to almost feeling like she should feel bad. Like, oh, no, we're okay. You're right. I would have held you back. That he's like, what would I say to my son if I didn't win? First of all, leave the kid out of it. Like, leave the kid out of it. Like, let's be real. Like, that's not fair. And at the end of the day, so what are you going to tell your son, that the only way you can get ahead in life is by being a terrible person, but you won money? You've been being paid money for being on these shows and doing stuff related to these shows for freaking years. So don't act like you and your son are about to be out on the streets if you don't ditch Big T. Like, that's not how this is working. And you're not going to like fool people into thinking that. Try again next time. Absolutely not. But basically they both started raising their voice, and it was just sort of like, Big T was like, no friend of mine would have treated me the way that you treated me down there in the crater. You are not going to talk to me like that. The way you're talking to me right now, it's not happening. You are not, like, I'm done. We are not friends. I don't want to be your friend. Like, it's over. And she walked away, and she stood her ground, and I was like, and CT was just sort of like, well, I tried. I don't know what the problem is. Like, okay, well, if you don't know what her problem is, then there's nothing we can do here. Because if you can't figure out how you were wrong in the situation, we can't solve this situation, because we don't even agree on what situation we're talking about or what it is. So I think it would take a lot for them to ever make up, to be honest. I know she seems like a sweetheart, but I'm telling you, and she pretty much said it, if we want to hold a grudge, we take that shit to the grave. You really gotta be a luckiest son of a bitch to get out of our you're my enemy like spot that you've been put in, that box that you have put yourself in by doing wrong. Her thing, and she even said to him, was, it wasn't even fully that you left me. Yeah, that hurts my feelings, whatever. She even said, like, kind of knocking herself, no one wants to be my partner. I understand why you'd want to leave me. Like, I'm not the best at this, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So she's like, so my thing was the way you did it, the way you said it. Like, all you had to say was, A, Big T, we had a great ride, but I don't know that I can do a final with you. Cam, I want to do one with you, come down here. And the other thing too is like, okay, you have some nerve to pick Cam. Cam wanted to be your partner from day one, and you dogged her out for Ashley and had no interest. And so now she's supposed to want to work with you, and it's all supposed to be dandy, and the whole house is already mad at you, and Kyle is pissed because, God, Kyle can hold a grudge too. I mean, look at the way he still feels about Anissa and Fessy from putting him in, giving him his gold skull so he can run a final. But like, his thing was he trusted CT, and CT said that he would not take Cam from him. And everyone's like, well, you know people are going to want to take Cam from you. Like, you took Cam from somebody else. He's like, okay, but like, in his mind, he trusted CT, and I voted the way CT wanted me to vote, and I was in like an alliance with him, and then he took my partner, and everything's supposed to be hunky-dory. Like, no. No, they were working great together, and he even said it himself. He's like, Cam's a leader. I'm a follower, and I was happy to follow her to the end of a final, and it was working for me. So you just screwed my game, and you made me look stupid because people told me not to trust you, and I trusted you, and here I am. So, you know, that was just, I don't know, because I feel like Kyle can take it too far, but like, I agreed with him, but the whole house, I guess, consensus was like telling him to get over it, and CT definitely didn't care. So it's just, you know, yeah, you can be a slime ball in the game, but I've seen people win it and not be a slime ball. So it's not necessarily that you have to, but I guess CT really wants another win. Like, you've already won 3 times. I'm not saying you don't come to win, but like, it's not like you and your son are about to be out on the streets. It's not like you've never won before. Like, you didn't need to do it in that way to justify, because I want to win. It just doesn't fly with me. I did not like it. I definitely feel like Big T called out. I mean, Kyle called it out exactly right too, but like, Big T called it out exactly as it was. Like, it was in the conversations and stuff, like, just overall, it was he was manipulative, and in a way that's almost like emotionally, I'm not going to say abusive, but we're borderlining on like, this is just not appropriate. And like, that's not cool, bro. It's not cool, bro. We don't like it. I don't like that. It's triggering for me, and like, I wanted to fight him for her. So that was that. And then the next day after, you know, the Springs, I don't know if that night was when they had the bonfire. I don't know if they had it before, you know, because of the editing, but they wanted to make it seem like it was after the Springs and whatever. Like, he gave her some time. The next day, like later in the day, they're like, okay, like they haven't ringed us for a challenge. And usually we do it earlier in the morning, like pre-lunch, around lunch at least. And basically what happened is it was later on in the day, and people were even trying to go to bed. Like, all of a sudden it goes off, and they're like, dang, like we, you know, I mean, they're like, we're not ready for this, but all right. Like, it's okay. And the other note that I totally forgot to mention was, throughout all this, Nam has had a back injury of some sort, but that he's just been like trying to fight through, and then it just got to a point where he couldn't do it, and you know, he ended up going to the hospital, and he said they gave him like a shot this big and whatever. I'm guessing that's like a steroid shot. Don't quote me. That's just typically what they do if they're trying to like cease the pain in something like that. Like, my mom gets them in her feet for plantar fasciitis and stuff. Like, you can only get so many and whatever, but like it can help with like serious injuries or things like that, to like, for a little while at least. And so he got home and he tried to go to bed because he's like, I still don't feel great, and like, I just got this. And that's right when, like, right after that's when the, you know, the whole alarm was sounded, and he's like, oh God, I don't know what's gonna happen, because I'm not even like, I just went to the hospital. Like, they didn't even tell me if I'm cleared to still play or not. I was gonna sleep it off, hope I felt better in the morning, and like, then see what happens, you know. But basically they meet TJ, and it's like inside some warehouse, and clearly it's a night, you know, it's at night, it's a night challenge. And he's like, first thing to talk about was basically like, Nam, you're not cleared, I'm sorry. And Nam was devastated, which is like totally understandable, and it sucks. It's like another one bites the dust, like, but like, clearly he was too injured. I mean, he was too injured. But that's why I never understand, like, I think it's just for dramatic effect, but it's like, why did you let him come home from the hospital and like lay down if he was clearly not cleared? I think that's for TV dramatic effect, but like, that just makes you go, okay, so you're just playing with us, but whatever. And even him, maybe, because like, I don't know if he was told at all, because as the way it looked on TV, he wasn't, but we don't know exactly what goes on behind the scenes. But so then TJ's like, okay, everybody else who's anyone that's like rogue, which turned out to be Big T was rogue, because Kyle went with Nany, and so they were back together as partners, and everyone else was partnered up. Big T was with Nam, and Nam had to go home, so he's like, you're out, but whoever doesn't have a skull left, like, this is very important. This competition is very important for you. So, you know, she was like pretty, you know, devastated for Nam, but also like, what does this mean for me? And so basically we leave it off with all the partners are in this cage, and they're gonna have to do tasks, and it's gonna be your worst nightmare. It's gonna be like terrible, disturbing things. It's like, who can get through it and through the task and get out first will win. And so when we leave, everyone's chained together, and then the lights go out, and like, they start playing this like noise that's clearly like supposed to be irritating, and they can't, you know, they have to listen to it, because it's not like they can plug their ears, their hands are tied up. So that's where we're left off. We don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know how Cam and CT are gonna perform together. I think, I guess fortunately for Cam, I think they'll do fine. If anything, do really well. But unfortunately, I guess in a way, because like, screw CT right now, like, I guess they're gonna do good. I think that's my best guess. But I mean, you know, Corey and Gabby really want to do something. I don't know that's gonna happen. He's kind of cursed anyways right now, so we'll see. Devin's gone, Josh is gone. It was a double elimination, and Nany's devastated without Josh. Her plan is to hopefully go down and get a skull, and she's leaving Kyle for Fessy, and that's the plan. I don't know what's gonna happen. Scotty's gonna enjoy this. We'll talk about it. You guys talk about it. Let me know what you think. In the meantime, like, comment, share, subscribe.